About to go live. Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the personal development podcast for entrepreneurs who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Good evening, all. Good evening. Good evening. Now, Eric, I don't normally like doing these Thursday shows. Like, you know what I mean, from Monday show, Wednesday show. But when you said we were going to have the big boss play pits tonight, let's do it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, this is certainly an exciting episode. It's exciting on several levels. Number one, this is Women's History Month. It's March. So this is actually our special Women's History episode. And who we have on for Women's History Month is somebody that's just making history in the game. Definitely want to do a special shout out to all the women out there making it happen. You're doing your thing on every level. We certainly appreciate everything you're doing. We respect everything that you're doing, that you're accomplishing on this Women's History Month episode. Again, this is going to be one of those. So, Ted, when we do a Thursday episode, we say it's no excuses Thursday.
No excuses Thursday.
People say, "Oh yeah, I want to start my venture. I want to get my brand going." Yeah. After you hear this story, you're like, "I need to just go ahead and do that thing. I need to stop talking about it. I just need to go ahead and do it. I need to go ahead and make it happen."
Man, I need to go back. I need all these. I don't have all these degrees. Man, I don't have any experience out here doing this. Who needs any of that? Who needs any of that? The big
overrated.
He's about to show you how to do it.
Absolutely. And I see we have people that are starting to log on. We certainly welcome you. We want you to comment in the comment section. You want to say hello? Say hello.
I see my cousin Rhonda here. Hey, Rhonda.
Shout out to cousin Rhonda in the house.
Cousin Rhonda came through. What's up, cousin Rhonda? I don't know cousin Rhonda, but welcome. Welcome.
Fantastic. Again, this is going to be an awesome episode. So normally, you know how we do. Normally, in the beginning, I talk about something, and then Ted tells you to put the ham sandwich down. We're going to do something a little different today. We still want you to put the ham sandwich down, right? But we're going to get right to our guest. Because one of the things when you're in business, or just in life in general, you want to see progress, right? You want to feel like you're moving forward. You want to feel like you're taking steps in the right direction. So let me show you some progress. This is progress in action. First off, our guest today, she's taken her deodorant brand from the kitchen table to the shelves of a major retailer within a 3-year time span. And that's progress.
4 years.
4 years, okay. All right. That's progress. I was 3 years when we first had you on the show. She has the distinction of being the first guest that we've now interviewed 3 times. She's been on the show 3 times. So we first interviewed her in May of 2019. It was episode number 12. She was selling her Play Pits deodorant from the kitchen. Still, right? Then we brought her back in January of 2021. That was episode number 94. She was selling her product from a warehouse, impressive warehouse. We showed you how she was doing it, what she was doing, shared screens and all that good stuff.
I can't contain myself. I'm getting so excited. I'm so excited about this 3rd episode. Lord help. I'm so excited.
It's exciting times, Ted, let me tell you. So let's fast forward today. This is episode number 160. And her Pits Deodorant is now being sold in over 250 plus locations of a national retailer.
What? Now that if that ain't a won't he do it story.
Won't he?
Absolutely.
Won't he? He did
Won't
it.
he do it?
He did it. This is the pure definition of a God did it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where that organ? Where that organ? Where that organ? Y'all lucky I can't do it.
That's the shouting part right there.
That's right.
And welcoming to the 30-minute hour podcast. Welcome her back, Chantel Powell.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But like, I want to just first start off by saying, like, look at the growth that you all just said, not only for me, but for y'all too. Because first episode was what? 19, right? Episode 19. Second episode was episode what? 40?
94.
94. This episode is what?
160.
160. So kudos to God for staying consistent and doing what you all are doing.
Amen.
You know, what you all are doing is pouring into a community of entrepreneurs like myself, giving those safe places of information. And that stuff is so important when you are a minority owned business that don't have a lot of resources, don't know, don't have a family of entrepreneurs. We have to link up with people like you all. So kudos to everything that you all are doing too.
Thank you very much. That was real nice. That's what folks do, Eric, when they on the shelves of Target. They want to bring everybody in, let everybody feel good. But you on shit. But you on the shelves of Target. We won't get into that.
Okay, we could get into that. Let's go.
Absolutely. But I know people, they may be watching this for the first time or listening to this for the first time, and they haven't listened to the other episodes. Talk about what was your career like prior to coming up with let's stop at the point where you had the encounter with your son. So what were you doing prior to having that encounter with your son? What was your career looking like?
So I had a very enjoyable career post-college. I went to Clark Atlanta University. Find a way to make one is our motto. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And I graduated Clark Atlanta University a week before graduation. I didn't have a job. I was a fashion merchandising major. Went to school for fashion merchandising. And in life, I wanted to dress mannequins. I would go to the grocery store. I would go to Hex in Washington, D.C. with my mom and my grandma. And they would spend hours and hours and hours in Hex. And I would talk to mannequins. And so I named all the mannequins for Lola. And so fast forward, by the time it was time for college, like I loved fashion. And I really had a passion for that. And so I majored in fashion merchandising, was able to get an internship at Tyler Perry Studios. A week before graduation, called my supervisor at Tyler Perry Studios and was like, hey, I graduate next week and I don't have a job. So if you have any opportunities for me, I would love to work. She hired me as a PA. I worked my way up from a PA to a wardrobe shopper. And I was there for years until I had Cameron. And so life for me was like, I've always been a creative. And so I worked for years at Tyler Perry Studios. And then 2 years into being a mom working, my child told me he hated my job. So I then went back to Maryland to be a mom that was at least at home with their children, right? So I was someone who would fly back and forth from Atlanta to Maryland. And I did that like every month. And so me going home was like a big deal. So I moved home, got a job at BET. My amazing husband finessed my resume and made it look like I was a whole executive assistant. I had never been an executive assistant a day in my life. And so I learned how to type, like fast type on taking tests. I was somebody who never had used Outlook, learned how to do all that on YouTube, and just learned my way into being an executive assistant. 4 years later, like they thought I was the best assistant ever. And I was like, I ain't never done this. So my life was supporting the VP BT International at BT Networks. And so I would travel, go to the BT Awards, set up amazing events. So I had a very, I wasn't bored. I had stuff to do.
So I'm curious, like when you were in college, like what was your vision? Like what did you tell yourself that you wanted to be during that time?
I wanted to dress mannequins. I went to school for merchandising. So I wanted to be the person that did the window displays, the merchandising displays in fashion retail stores.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you had this experience that inspired the creation of this product. And it's every time I see it and hear it, it's amazing. So talk about this life-changing experience that you had that inspired you to start Play Pits.
My child at 6 came home from basketball summer camp, July 2017. And then I told him to football practice. And he got in my car around 7, 8 o'clock and changed my whole life, literally. He smelled so horrible that I was like, not my baby. And so, I'm sure y'all can head to Play Pits and see pictures of Cam. He's always been like this beautiful chocolate curly haired, cute little baby to me. And he smelled like a grown man. And I was like, this ain't gonna work for me. And I went looking for something, wasn't able to find anything in the stores. Everything was like antiperspirants, and then what was natural was like super boring and like crunchy and natural. And so I was like, he ain't gonna wear that. And so I went looking online and I didn't see anything that like made me feel like my child would put this on every day because I didn't want to smell him. So it was like, I need him to be excited. I need him to love this product. I need him to want to put it on every day. And so I got in the kitchen and made my own. And so that's really how that started. And he put it on, went to camp the next day after I had the talk of like, all right, Cam, so listen, you don't smell good, and I need you to take a shower, wash up, like wash under your arms with soap, and like I had to have that hygiene talk with my 6-year-old. And so I said, here's something mommy made for you, and you got to put it on every single day. And he was like, okay. And I put it was cornstarch, baking soda, coconut oil, and a splash of orange essential oils. And so he loved how it smelled because he loved orange essential oils in the house. And so I was like, I'm gonna put some of this in here because if I can convince him he could smell like this all day, he gonna wear it. He went to camp and came back home, was like, all right, so mommy. It was almost like, all right, boom. So mommy, look, I told him that camp about your deodorant, and I think you should make it for everyone at camp. And I was like, no, Cam, like that's me and you. And he was like, but mommy, you can make it for everyone. And like it was literally like when people say light bulb moments, like that was my man, he got a point. Like it's other parents with smelly kids, it's other smelly kids that deserve to be confident and not to be self-conscious. And you know what I'm saying? Like other kids deserve to have a product that looks and feel like them and smells amazing. And so I stayed up that night probably till like 1 a.m. researching like what is on this market. And I didn't see anything. Like all the companies that was doing it, they were just throwing the kids a bone. Like they were really adult products that just threw the teens something or threw the kids something. And I wanted a product that like was for kids. Like I wanted kids to see it and be like, oh, that's for me. And it's not for anybody else but me. And so that is how Play Pits, started. That's our story.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you took the action. Yeah. So what do you think? What is it about you that separates you? Because a lot of people can have a moment like that and just keep going on about their life. So what is it about you where you recognize that, you know what, this is something I need to take a step farther?
Well, I think what really, if I truly like think about where I was at in my life when everything happened, we were literally like I was in a role that I had grew to love. I originally hated, and that's a whole nother story, right? So I was in a role that I eventually loved, and had someone in leadership position try to push me out. And so that like did something to me internally, right? And it was something to the effect of like, I've always had an entrepreneurship spirit. So Ted will tell you like, we got a whole how we met, right? And so I used to style Ted, and like I've always been like, I used to organize closets, and I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. But when Cam came to me with this opportunity, I had just read a book called The Big Magic. And in this book, it talked about how creativity is something that is flowing, like it moves. And you'll hear people say, Dad, I had that idea, and now somebody else then brought it to life. They didn't breathe life in it. And so I had literally just read that book. I had this man in leadership pushing me out because he felt like I had too much power in an executive assistant role, right? So here it is. I'm this young Black girl with too much power in this role. And Cam like smelled bad. And it was like when he said, it was like a perfect storm of like, you know what? I don't never want nobody to ever have to tell me they gonna push me out. I hated the idea of somebody being able to cut off my income. Right. So that was one thing. Then two, my kid had literally told me like to do something. So then it's like, Dad, I could use this as an opportunity to show him like, if you put hard work and determination behind something, you can really build something. So really, it was like one of those things of like, it was like a project for my kids. Like, I'm gonna show my kids that we can have an idea and we could bring that idea to life and we can make money, right? And like, so I had all those internal things, and I already had like a entrepreneurial spirit. And so I think it's really destiny. I think as I've gone on this journey, I really feel like God, in a weird way that I never knew, He's called me to do exactly what I'm doing because it's impacting in so many other areas outside of my deodorant, right? And so my business represents something to our community, our ability to scale in the manner that we have just is something that I really feel like God He's put His blessing on, and He's just ordering my step, and I'm just going forward.
Man, I think my allergies are starting to bother me. The more this story, man, I'm getting me feeling a little emotional because I've watched you just grow in this business thing in just in such a short amount of time. And she just kind of touched on the whole thing about how we met. I want to just hit that just a little teeny bit, right? She has Chantel has a sorority sister, Lindsay, who used to work for me. And she used to, kind of question some of my attire in a real nice kind of way. She, you need to meet my soror Chantel. That's what she just said. She, let her, touch, show you a couple little pieces, whatever. So Chantel came over. We met. She came to my house, and first thing she did, she come in, and look at your closet. Just tell you, go on about your day. And I came home, and it was just stuff all over the place, all over the bed in bags and stuff. I mean, I'm like, you trying to get rid of all my stuff? Well, not all of it. So she let me take a couple little pieces out of it. Even then, Eric, I knew there was a boss there, right? Because it was like, you're not going to take but so many pieces out of that stack. I'm going to let you get a tile, something here, or, a sock or two, but we got to get rid of all this stuff. Right?
It needed to have a story. If that thing ain't had no story.
No story. And then she come in with all the stuff that she saw, her vision of stuff for me. And I'm just like, it wasn't my vision. But what I will say, though, is most of the stuff that I got from her, someone would always say, oh, man, that's really nice. I'm like, well, ain't nobody saying that about the stuff I was getting for myself. So I guess you know what she's talking about. But she bossed me around, Eric. She bossed me around so much. But even to this day, even though she's the big boss, I'll call her and send her a picture of something and try to get some tips on some stuff. But then when she got into play pits and she started telling me about it, and then that very first time I could just see, like, I knew she was going to get there because she was so determined. She was so determined, and her husband and I, we laugh about this all the time. Well, she'll ask you for some advice, but she gonna still do what the heck she want to do. Like that. That's just it. But I've watched it, and she's over the 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Just in each of these, if you even look at any of the other episodes that we have, you can see that kind of maturation of this big boss that's happened from the first episode to the second episode to the, but still, the sweet person that she's always been. But you can just see, that it's gonna happen. It's only gonna get bigger and bigger. Each time it's gotten bigger. Like she'll call me or something, or text me and tell me about something. I just be like, what? Oh, yeah, I got a warehouse now. What? I said something to her about making some stuff. She said, oh yeah, I got manufacturing there. Like it just blows my mind of how she just does the things that she does, and just the whole team. I mean, this is an amazing story.
So I can tell you my perspective. I remember that first interview we did, and you came across as somebody that had two things that I think are critical. Number one is energy. You could just feel the energy, like you were going to make it happen. And the other thing is hunger. You just seem like you had a hunger about you that you weren't going to let obstacles get in your way. I mean, I picked up on that during our first episode. So the progress is not a surprise, but it was definitely, it's great to see. And I can only imagine next time we have you back, where are you going to be at the rate you're trending? So you have the product. Now it's in your kitchen. So talk to us about the steps you took. Like, a lot of times we think things just happen magically, but you took some specific steps to go from the kitchen to the national retailer.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can even put it into steps, right? And so I think that's like, I've tried to be super transparent in my journey and sharing via social, and people who know me, I've shared, the ins and outs. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship. Like, my steps look very different than the next person's steps, right? And what I hear is, you say is steps, I hear is like daily, like almost like daily strides and efforts. Like I don't even know if every day I made a step, right? Like every stage, I don't even know if it was the true step. It was just a bunch of consistent movement. It up in a place where it created like an atmosphere of opportunity. And so I think for us, consistency, like I lean on that, because if you do something good every day, you got no choice but to build something great. And I think that that's something me and my family committed to back in 2018, right? Was like, okay, if we going to, like, I'm the person, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Like, I can't really do something. I can't really put my name on it and put my gifts on it and not give it 100%. And so I think, it took a lot of research, right? Because like I said earlier, I didn't come from a background of entrepreneurs where I could call or had people to lean on. So it took research. It took, research on what I was creating, research on building a network, research on how to build a business. And then I would say the next thing is, once you get that research, it's like, okay, what you want to tackle? Like, what do you want to accomplish now? In sectioning that off and pulling on your village. Like, a lot of times I feel like when I think about Black people in business, traditionally, I think people keep things to themselves and don't want people to help because they want to be able to keep that claim. For me, like, this is literally all of our victories, right?
Mm.
So if Ted posting about play pits in 2018, that was his help. That was his support. And so you'll have people in your village that are willing to support you in all types of different ways, but you just too cool to ask. And like my family and friends, my cousin Rhonda, she didn't work for play pits for free plenty of times. You know, her daughter used to work for play pits. So my family, my village, my community of like people, my personal family and friends, they have assisted me in building what we're building. And so I would say research, pulling on your village, not being too cool to ask for help. And as Black women, right? Like, I get it. Like, we're so prideful and we're so, strong that a lot of times we hold too much, but we fail to kind of see where our weaknesses are and the values and other people around us and how we can pull them. And so I really truly believe a lot of where I am today is like because I pulled on the resources that I did have in the network. And then that consistency. Like if I would have there was so many times in the beginning where I was like, I'm never going to make money for real. Like you can make my product came out the gate $11. How much, like that's all you had was an $11 product. And so when you think about building an empire and you see like, how much it costs to pay for rent and all this stuff, it's like I gotta sell a whole lot of bars of deodorant to do that, right? And
Right.
so that consistency helped with, taking that low priced item and constantly like being consistent and getting that sale, like going to pop-ups that were free, going to things that were low price, asking people like, hey, would you see if your local church is having a festival? Okay, could we apply to be a part of that? So like we did a lot of that grassroots stuff on a consistent basis to help build this foundation to where we are today.
One thing that you hit on when Eric asked about the steps, you said, I don't know if they were necessarily steps. I was moving. And we talked about that in the past on past episodes, is you got to move, right? So it may not be stepping forward, but it's moving, right? It's moving. And I think that's everything that you talked about. It was just moving, whether it's research, that everything was something that you was kind of putting in the basket of being the business person that you are, and just, one of the things I think that you do really well is social media. You've made play pits like a movement. It's like an experience. Like I'm sitting back and I'm just looking at you. Like I feel like I know you better from social media than how I already knew you. Like I'll be in there sometimes watching you put on makeup. I'm like, what in the world? Why am I saying watch Chantel put on makeup? And the kids and everything. It's like I feel like I'm in the house. And I think that's something too that people are kind of connecting with the overall brand and the experience. That's something that you've made it where it's not just about the deodorant. It's kind of about the experience of play pits. I think that you've done really well.
Thank you. And once again, that all started because we ain't had no money. I had to go market in a free space, social media, and so like literally like I didn't spend money on marketing until like maybe 2020, like maybe is when we started to do marketing, like real money. Yeah, like I wasn't even doing boosts. You know how like when you get on Instagram, it's like, oh, let's boost this post. I would see the price. I'm like, man, I'm not paying $20 for this.
I'm gonna boost it myself.
$20, I gotta sell 2 deodorants just to do this boost, and I don't even know if the people gonna buy it. No, that's all right. I'm gonna go sell this deodorant on my trunk at my friend's salon. Like, no. So I did a lot of that. Like I was very scrappy. And I don't even know if people really know that. Like, because people so often people say like, "Oh, you make it look so easy." Like the true behind the scenes is our process is very scrappy. Like to get here. Like I built our own website. I technically designed our own label on a church program. Hold on, my computer's about to die. So y'all.
I hope that wasn't doing service. I hope you wasn't.
It was definitely doing service, but the Lord spoke to me. He spoke to me at that service. And I took that program and I sketched it. Because I basically came to the designer with a concept, the rate was cheaper. Like in the beginning, I did not have money. I designed our first banners. I look at those banners today. It's actually at my mother's house. Like I had to send it to my mother's house for something. She was like, I'm gonna ship it to you. I was like, I don't want that ugly thing. Like, but in the beginning, we had to be scrappy. And so looking back, like half the stuff we did, it'd be like, oh, I would never do that. But I fixed it along the way. I perfected it, as things went on. And I think a lot of times people get stuck up in that being like being a perfectionist. And I'm super detail oriented, but you could be that like to the point where you literally paralyze yourself and won't go nowhere because you still tweaking and moving. It's like put it out there and fix it later. So.
A lot of times it becomes an excuse for procrastination. Oh, it's got to be perfect.
Perfection and trying to get something right is the perfect excuse for not doing something. Because you sound like you're being productive and you're doing good because you're trying to be perfect, but you're then stuck and ain't going nowhere. Like, yeah, no. I try to. If something don't get right, I'd be like, whatever. Let's see how it goes. Because most of the time, the stuff we tripping off of, people ain't even think about it.
One thing I wanted to mention, we talk about, this success over this 4-year period of time, and of that 4 years, 2 of those years were during a pandemic. I mean, how did the pandemic impact you? Because it seemed like it didn't really.
Well, the pandemic impacted us, but not necessarily in a negative way. The pandemic, it was a lot. First of all, we're an e-commerce brand. So the pandemic from an e-commerce perspective, the whole industry just saw surplus, right? Because everybody was at home. Everybody now had time to look at the ads or research things. And so, yeah, that created the traffic. And then with George Floyd and all the riots and, all of that went on, it created another level of consciousness for the country in a sense. But then I got a whole thing about that because it did, but then, it was temporary for some people, right? But for Black people, it just made it more like to support a Black business because we was a Black business before supporting a Black business was like a badge of honor, right? And so we had people that why are you laughing? That wasn't supposed to be funny.
No, we get it.
Yeah, like now it's like I support a Black business, and so that's cool. But like Playpits was around before that was a thing. So like we had the true people that was like we supporting Black businesses, right? And then what the pandemic did and everything that happened 2020, you had those people who now are seeing everybody talking about they supporting Black businesses. So they like, oh, well, I've been on to this. Check out Playpits. And then you had the big corporations that's trying to bring attention to Black businesses, right? So then they include us in lists and people that necessarily, and everybody wasn't just supporting then because it was a trend. A lot of people supported and they weren't even aware, right? So you have a certain level of people who they have never even thought about the impact of supporting a Black business, what that does to a community. So now like you got a lot of education about that. So now you got those people supporting and you getting people rushing to your site. So that's when we went from the house to the warehouse because the girl was busting out the seams at the house. I literally had an 18-wheeler pull up with a pallet and was like, so I didn't think about this, and so it was one of those things where we had to move into a warehouse because like our home was not even livable for people in a business of our size.
Chantel, can you please tell that story again about when the truck pulled up and you had your husband go out to start trying to? I thought that was so funny.
So the truck pulled up to the house, and pallets come in. Y'all, okay. So if you don't know what a pallet is,
we don't. All of us are not.
All right. So a pallet is basically that big. It's a big wooden plank board that in this industry, like when you're moving big totes and heavy things, you put it on a pallet and you stick it on the truck. Well, I think it was a pallet of one of my ingredients, like cornstarch, baking soda, something, right? Because I could get it for a cheaper rate. Because now we're making product at a faster rate, so now I can afford to scale up from a supply standpoint. So now I'm buying bigger bulk things, right? So if I bought this pallet of this item, I was getting a fraction of my cost, taken off, right? So in product making business, that basically means now I'm buying more, I get to spend less, and I get to like basically keep my cost of goods lower, right? So the pallet pulls up, the man says, so this is a pallet, and I'm an 18-wheeler, and we lived in a townhouse, so it was no way. It was like a one-way street, little 2-lane street. It was townhouses on this side, townhouses on this side, so it was no way for him to back into our garage. He's a commercial truck, so he's really not even supposed to back in. So he was like, so I could drop this pallet right here at the sidewalk, and y'all could take the stuff in the house. So my amazing husband, I said, Keon, baby, he said he can't bring that in here, and we gonna have to carry it in the house, but we need him because they 50-pound bags, and I wasn't carrying that. So I was there to support him. I had water. You need to take a break, but he had to carry a whole pallet.
So he got a real workout.
Oh yeah. Oh, listen, 2020, that man was ripped. I had a whole new husband. He was carrying them buckets and bags and
put it down. He didn't no gym, and the gym was Play Pits gym.
Thanks to Play Pits, I got a whole new husband. He got a whole new wife. Because we have definitely slimmed down because of this Play Pits life.
That's a great story. Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you go so now you're in this big warehouse, you're making it happen. So how did you get to the point where you are now, where you're featured in, and we can say the name of the national retailer, right?
Yeah. So Play Pits is in Target.
Yep.
And that was always my dream store. So after that Cam came home smelly, and I said this was going to be a thing. I said I can't do nothing halfway. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And my retailer of choice was always Target, because I still feel like Target is where the cool moms hang out. Where we shop. That's where we go explore new products. That's where we escape them kids. That's where we hide out from our husbands. And so I knew I wanted my product in Target. And so I didn't know what it looked like to make that happen. And Target had no clue who my little deodorant business was. And so I just kept working. I did pop-ups, and I did, events, and I built a social media, and I worked on our branding, and, so I think the work I had this saying that like, it was a point in this process that I had to say, you know what, I'm not begging nobody to work for me. I'm not begging nobody to work with me, because I know that if I do great work, they'll see me and they will invite me eventually, because I got tired of like, the thing of like telling somebody how great you are or how great your product is, and they like, yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of like took those years to the chin, and I said, okay, I'm gonna show them. Okay, that's all right. You ain't gotta believe in me, cause I know that my like vision is real and it's possible. So I just kept moving, kept moving. And crazy story, I went, trying to get into Target in with different conversations. We actually went to Minnesota, was invited because we did a pop-up and was able to meet some of the Target team. And so they invited us to the headquarters. My buyer wasn't there like at all. And so I remember feeling it like, dang, I didn't even get to, I'm gonna just keep moving. I just kept moving. 2020, I came back from Minnesota February 2020. The pandemic hit March 2020. And so no contact with Target. Nobody. But I kept doing the work. And by the time I got in touch with Target, they had found me. And so that's the story.
So talk a little bit about, we go back to your social media and you have this Under Army.
My Under Army.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Under Army, so the Under Army is Play Pits supporters, right? So people who not only are like customers. So I don't really, I say customers in a business setting, right? But like when I'm talking to my Under Army, they're my Under Army. It's like family, because it got to the point where I realized that I didn't just have customers. When conversations about natural deodorant was going on social media, and Play Pits was always in the mix. And it was conversations I never was aware of, but they were tagging Play Pits. People saying like, oh, natural deodorant don't work. Oh, sis, you need to try Play Pits. Oh, you need to grab you some Play Pits. I've been wearing it for a year, 6 months. Oh, try, like, they were in there. And I was like, yo, this is a different, like, it felt like I get why Rihanna got the Navy, and I get why Beyonce got the Beehive, because it's this different level of love and support. And like, it wasn't even just the product. It was like, oh, like they were inspired by more than the product. It was the story. It was the family. It was the, our journey. Like, because literally people watch Play Pits go from like me making these little small batches to like these big batches to having this huge equipment to a whip. So like they on a journey with me. They done seen it. So they can't just be customers. Like they part of the team. So that's not Under Army.
Well, that's funny, and kind of once you're in, right? Like you're in, right? Because I got my king here, right?
Listen, once you in, if you cheat on me,
and that's what I was about to say. I get this, and then after a while, it runs out, right? And then I think, man, I need some deodorant today. This is when I just had to get a shipment from you. I had to get it from you, so I'm like, okay, I got to just grab what I got in here. But I felt guilty. Like I did feel like I was cheating on Play Pits. I did using another product, and now it's in Target, so like it's no excuse. Like I would say, hey, earlier in the early days, of, hey, Chantel, I didn't get my stuff. Oh, you didn't get it. Now it's like, I don't have to wait for it. I have to, I can just go and get it. So I just feel like I'm gonna be in the store, one day, Eric, and I'll be over there looking at something else, and they're gonna be like, you're not gonna cheat on our. I mean, you see us right here. Why are you looking on that other shit? We right here. So yeah, that's
my lesson. Don't cheat on Play Pits.
Don't cheat on.
Don't cheat on Play Pits. And it's so crazy. So my trainer, she came. So I only, like, a few people could just pull up and buy product, right? So she came and just randomly pulled up, and she was like, "Girl, I called myself like I couldn't get over here, and so I called myself using something else, child. Like, oh, the workouts I be, oh girl, I was smelling so bad, and I was like, that's what you get. But now, I'm so proud because I said it the other night when I did our live for the announcement. I don't take it for granted that we have not had hundreds. We done had tens of thousands and thousands and thousands of customers who have went online and ordered a product that they are used to going to a store and walking out with. I don't take that for granted. And the fact that now we have worked to the point where you can go get the product that you used to have to be a little inconvenience to support, but now you could pull up to 365 targets. I'm so proud of that. And I'm so happy that my customers now have options. We on Amazon. We got playpits.com where you could be on subscription. You could, if you want to use, so Happy is the only scent that's not at Target. So if you want to try Happy, you can go to our .com. You can be a part of the brand on our .com, and then you can go to Target. If you forget the order and it's like, I'm gonna pull up the Target, you can go to Target.
So here's the thing. I remember asking you about this a couple weeks ago about, like, do you still make it at all?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Yeah, but I definitely have support now
So no more of the flour, no more of the all the stuff all over you anymore. Them days are done.
Oh no, those days still happen. Literally, I could pull up a picture right now that probably happened 2 weeks ago. No, so like I'm saying, like we still make product in house, but we now have support because I'm only one person.
Right.
And we got the demand is so high that I had to basically give up that product making life every day. Like I was making product every single day and running a company and being a mom and being a wife. It was a lot. And so, what I did notice being an entrepreneur and being someone that was scrappy and very hands into the business the way that I was, not until I was able to kind of relinquish all of that goes into like creating the product every day. Me being out of that I was able to grow the company, So like I think 2020 took me from being a hustler to a CEO. It's a difference, and I'm learning that difference every day. But sometimes, a hustler always gonna be a hustler. So I always revert to, okay, we're gonna have to do what we're gonna have to do, but that CEO still has the availability to just pop up 5 days out the week, and the other 2 days the hustler kicks in. So it's like, yeah, I do both.
No, that's a great point because it's never gonna mean as much to anyone outside of your family as it's gonna mean to you all.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what. I mean, being on the shelf of Target, that's really exciting, but so are another 1,000 products, right? So tell us about the recent situation you had when you were at Target and the lady was there. And I thought that was a really cool story.
Yeah, that was one of those, like, this whole process, this whole journey, I've been humbled. Like, and while people often be like, you sound like she being humble, she's been done this, or she just, her business is this. Like, I'm so humbled because people love, respect, and support a product that came from my heart. I had from me, like literally, I handcrafted and they love it, like on a level that like I could have never dreamed of.
Mm.
And so this process has made me very humble. While some people will get big headed and feel like entitled or like it's just another day in my life, stuff happened to me, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy. So I went into the store yesterday, was in Target on a mission. So on a research mission, y'all. You gotta always research. That's all I can say, right? So research. And I just after doing my research, I went to deodorant aisle because in life, like I've been going to Target's deodorant aisle every time I go to Target since 2018 because I've always envisioned play pits at Target, right?
Wow.
And I have pictures from 2018 where I went. And this when you talk about vision, okay? So I'm gonna tell y'all something. I don't even know if the people gonna come for me, right? But y'all my people. I used to go in Target and take my product, like have it in my bag, and put it on the shelves in the deodorant spots and take
Wow.
and just I want to see what my labeling looked like beside everybody. I want to see like it was a thing that we would do, and so I always go to that section. So yesterday I went to that section and walked. You know, I'm standing there looking at all the competitors, and this lady walks up with her daughter, and she had like the daughter was young, right? I could tell she was like teenage, so she was 13. And so I looked at her, and something was like, "Are you gonna let them mind their business, or you gonna shoot your shot?" I was like, "I gotta shoot my shot." Hey, how you doing?
Hmm.
I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? Have you ever heard of play this?" Because they looking at deodorant, right? And I'm like, I know they looking at deodorant probably for the mother or the daughter. I got something that could help them both. So I said, "Hey, have y'all ever heard of play pits?" And the lady looked at me. She was like, "Yeah, that's actually what we're here for, the black owned deodorant." Yeah, I almost wept on that floor. If
Wow.
it wasn't for me being in that moment and like talking to that lady, when I got to the car, I had to really take that in. This lady went to my dream store
Mm.
for my product, randomly. He pulls up for what I created at Target. I process that. Those are the moments that's like I can't put a price on it. I can't put words to it. I can't. There's no other expression other than thank you, God.
Mm.
Other than that's how I know this is a God thing. Like because I couldn't have did this by myself. I couldn't. So those and that those type of things happen often to me. Like people be knowing play pits and they don't even. And that's the thing. Like we had this thing where like play pits bigger than Chantel. Play pits is way bigger than me. Like people don't even be knowing who I am. Child, I just be minding my business and they see the deodorant and they go crazy. They see me, they're like, "Oh, who is she?" You know. And so that is my dream. Like for my product, my brand to have presence, for you to see my logo. That's what a logo is about. For people to recognize your logo, your brand, the experience, and everything you bring when they see your business logo. And that's what we've been able to do. And I'm that's my brag and I'm so proud of that. Yeah.
Well, so two things. Because I want to come back to the whole brand piece, right? But first, I want to talk about the young lady and her reaction when you said that's your. 'Cause that's big right there.
Yeah, so we was talking to them. So I'm just talking to her at this point. So I say, you know, okay, you're here. Like, all right. So she says now, like, that's what I'm here for. And I'm like, oh wow, it's actually not at this location. You got to go to this location. So when I say that, they kind of like look at me like that's real, like, oh, okay, you just know. And I said, I'm the owner. And the daughter, like, and you know, it's hard to get teenagers' attention. That daughter looked up and she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm the owner. And, you know, I was like, hi, you know, what's your name? You know, so we talked. But what she had in her eyes was the same thing that I've gone to talk at schools and kids have in their eyes. And I know that look because it's, oh my God, somebody that looked like me can create something like this that can go this far. It's, that was the look like. You look like you the owner. I did a professional, a pizza with professionals at this school. And this girl walked up to me and she was like, I'm gonna be honest. When the teacher told me that you was a natural deodorant like person, like a business owner with a natural deodorant, she was like, I thought you was white. And I was like, and she said it like all honest, she was like, I thought you was white. But when she told me you was a black woman and that you've been able to do everything that you did, I just wanted to come and meet you. I just wanted to put my eyes on you in person. That thing, those are the moments that mess me up. Like me. And
Yeah.
so that's the same look that that young lady had. And she was such a beautiful young lady. And she just, I mean, I hope that me and her mother are able to connect on LinkedIn. But I saw that, and so that's what I mean. Like our product is so like this. What Playfits is doing is so much bigger than just slinging deodorant. Like I want to empower a next generation. I want to empower my generation. I want that mother that's sitting at home feeling like her kids are her everything and she had to put her dreams to the side. I want her to hear my story and hear me tell you, girl, you can do it. Like I get it, you don't have the money, neither did I. Neither did I. But if you put that movement and you start executing, you sacrifice a little bit, you don't sleep at night every night, 8 hours, you stay up till 2, you wake up at 6, you know, like you could do it too. You can be on your job and while you ain't got nothing to do and you on Instagram, you can research something. You can learn how to do something. And so it's so many things that you can do while you're still working a full-time job to build something bigger.
No, that's amazing story. You know, so kind of going back to that whole branding thing, I want to touch on that a bit of how what a perfectionist Chantel is. Things that have to be a certain way, and I'll say out of we've had Eric, how many guests on the
This
show?
is show number 160. So
160 less. So she's been on the third time. Let's just say we probably had 156, 157 guests, right? Chantel is the first guest that had us redesign our fly.
yeah, that's the first I didn't mention at the beginning.
Yeah. Because it had to be consistent with her brand. And she redesigned our flyer. That's the first time that's happened, but that just shows, I mean, how serious she is about what she's doing, how she's doing, the brand, and I think she did an amazing job. And sometimes you can get into something and just kind of keep doing it the same way. And when you got somebody that's been had such success in such a short amount of time, you need to take that feedback and truly consider it. So we appreciate the redesign of our flyer.
Do you want me to tell the story or no? You want to tell your version?
No, that's how the story went.
All right, that's how the story went.
No, you can tell your story. Go ahead.
Look, Rhonda said, I believe she did that.
That's right. That's cousin Rhonda. So cousin Rhonda know you.
Because she know me. So this is, I only did that because I know y'all. Right? You know what I'm saying? And I know the consistency. And I know what y'all do amazing. But I know what I do great and amazing too, right? And so if I can lend my gifts and merge it with y'all gifts, we can elevate together.
Eric, it sounded pretty similar when she was throwing away my ties. She has a soft way to tell you, no, this is what we doing this. I'm not doing it. We together throwing these ties away.
Yeah.
That's what we doing.
Doing this together. It's, and so, but in all honesty, y'all, branding is everything, right? And so that's what I know that I have an eye for what looks good, right? Whether it's dressing somebody, whether it's making a social media post or posting a picture. I have that, and I own that, and I now can look at that and see that as a gift. And if I can lend it to the people I love and respect, then that's what I'm gonna do. So I just wanted, I saw you all's branding, and I know how amazing y'all are, and I just wanted it to be reflective.
Especially on this episode, Eric. Especially.
Absolutely. Like, oh, I'm looking at this. Like, let's just make this look amazing.
Well, we appreciate your help there. Absolutely.
One thing I do want us to talk about a little bit though is your team. Your husband and your kids and kind of their roles in the organization. If you've heard our first, episodes, other episodes with Chantel, she's talked a bit about that, but just want you to touch that a little bit before we sign off.
Yeah, no, my family and my team they keep me together. So like I can go out in the world and I can help people keep them together. Like I got people, everybody around me can check me. They can support me. They can make sure I eat, make sure I drink water. Like my team is, luckily, majority of my team is my family. And then even outside of my family, my employees, like, because I treat them like family, we have an environment like family. And so, my kids are super. I think for them, it's almost like I didn't let them kind of, the last year or so, I didn't let them kind of retire because I used to work them really hard. My amazing husband, he's my support system. He's my backbone. He keeps me together. Like as honest as I can be with everybody else, he's super honest and has been able to pull qualities and things out of me that like most people wouldn't see. And so you see this version of me, but a lot of this is because I have an amazing man that is there to support me, love me through my good times and my amazing times, and call me out when I'm not being the best version of me. And so, yeah, my team is amazing. I'm super. I think that's another reason why it's a God thing. God put the perfect people in my life to help bring this all together. And so, that's even down to the person that I spend every day with.
No, that's great. One thing that I do want to go back to though is when you talked about what you used to do at the Target and kind of putting your deodorant up there, and then I think if anyone else tries that, be careful because security could probably see that and think you're taking something. That'd be the last thing you want to do is get arrested.
I never thought about
that. For looking like you shoplifting your own stuff. That's the last thing you ever want to do is get locked up for shoplifting. They be like, we don't even have no play pits in here.
I never thought about that. I used to just pull it out of my bag and go doop, 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 and then take a picture.
And then put it back in your bag.
And then be like, doop, doop, doop.
A good way to get arrested. So be careful in how you do it. I like the vision part though.
Yeah, you gotta be bold with it. You gotta be willing to risk it all, literally. And I mean, and that's the truth. Like that's one thing that on this journey you gotta shoot every shot. And get to the point where even when you see success, you still shoot that shot. Here it is, my product in Target. And I'm talking to this lady like she at a expo walking past my booth. But I had to. I couldn't, it was calling my name because I want to convert everyone. And I know that my product deserves to be in her bathroom, so I just could not let that lady walk by.
I think that's a lesson for everybody, the entrepreneurs. I think when you feel that thing of, I don't know, I think you have to take a shot. You always shoot a shot. I think if you just have that as your motto,
Yeah.
over time you'll be a target, you'll be accomplishing big things.
But what I will say, it takes practice, because I wasn't always 2018 Chantel would have never, you know what I'm saying? And so as you grow, you get more confident. You get more as you go through things. Like literally, I said it, like after me launching a product at Target, I done been through some things, right?
Yeah.
And so my confidence is different. My ability to communicate about my business is different. So it takes practice. But I had years of me getting comfortable with talking and pitching and telling anybody from a random parent at a PTA meeting to a person on a basketball court with their kid, so I had so much practice that it don't feel weird to me to do it in the store. But if somebody was with me and saw me do that, they would be like, oh my gosh, she really just talks to everybody about her product. But you can't, you gotta drop that. My husband called it like that way too, like you too cool. Like I had to drop that too cool mentality of just being like, like I'm not about to ask that lady about nothing, or you gotta just shoot your shot. And
Absolutely. So Chantel, what's next on the horizon for you?
I don't know. People
You
keep
know.
asking me that. No.
She don't want to tell us, or she knows. She's playing.
All honesty,
No.
since the launch of Target, it took one day for Keon to look at me and literally say, "Babe, what was the goal?" And I was like, "Huh?" And he was like, "What was your goal when you first started this?" And I said, "For Play Pits to be at Target." And he said, "You did it." And I cried. Hey, baby. Say hi to Kaden.
Hey, Kaden.
Hey, how you doing?
And I cried because I realized that the goal had been accomplished. So I don't know. When you ask me what's next, I haven't even started to think about what's next because I'm still taking it all in of what's now and what we work towards and how it all has worked. Like I'm still kind of like, wow. So I can't even, eventually I want to, I want to take over the world. But the true thing is like, I don't know, like how we going to take over the world? Like where we going next? I haven't strategized that yet, honestly.
So Chantel, is there ever a time you go to Target that you don't go to the deodorant aisle? I'm just going in there. You just running in there, get some toilet paper. It's a pan. Everybody got to get the toilet paper towel. Do you just run in there and get that, or do you just gotta go buy the deodorant aisle?
Literally every time. And then I look at it and be like, I check out everything. Like I go, but I don't just do that at Target. I now do it everywhere because I want to see what's on the market. Like who else, what they doing? And so now, like I go to the grocery store, I always walk past the deodorant aisle. Oh, I can't help it. It's an addiction.
The good thing about your type of product though is people don't switch stuff like that often, right? Like their shampoo, their toothpaste, their deodorant. Like once they're in, if they like the product, they just kind of, they only for 40 years. It'd be somebody 70 years old using Play Pit.
But Ted, imagine how hard it is to get people to switch from something they've been using all their life.
That's big.
That is something that I had a challenge with in the beginning because people were like, "Girl, natural deodorant don't work. I use that other product and that did not work for me. I'm gonna stick to my, my Pressman, give me the aluminum, give me nope, I need them chemicals. Like that's what I dealt with for the first 18 months of business. So it wasn't until like I was able to get them people to spread the word to say like, oh no, I actually took a chance on this and I loved it and I liked it. You should try it. The word of mouth. But brand loyalty, whew, people been using since they was 13 and 15 and their mother used it and their mother told them about it and their daddy used it. That's hard to get them people to switch. But once you get them,
because people want to feel like they're part of a movement,
mm-hmm.
right? And so I think that's what makes your brand so sticky, that they feel like they're part. Then they see your social media presence and what you're putting out there, and they want to be a part of something like that. So I think I commend you on what you're doing and on the great things you're going to do in the future here. So we're at the final segment. We call it Write This Down, and we just want to give everybody just something to remember about this episode, a takeaway. You know, what's something they can write down so they can ultimately level up for these entrepreneurs that are watching this. Chantel, I mean, you're the guest of honor. What's something that you want the people to remember about this episode?
I think the walk away for this episode would be shoot all shots. Shoot them. Like literally anything that if you think of doing something, and this is we're gonna just talk about business, right? So in business, if you thinking about putting yourself out there, but there's something like holding you back, just do it. Because most of the time what's holding you back is fear, self-doubt. But you hesitating is literally keeping you from the other side of that fear. And most of the time the fear that we create, it's not even real. I mean, the fear is real, but what you're fearful of is not real. And so if you just shoot those shots, no matter if you miss, right? Because I think a lot of times people like, they don't want rejection. They don't want to be told no. Get comfortable with being told no. Because then you're closer to your yes. Like, if you tell me no, if I get 5 no's, I keep trying, I gotta get a yes.
Yeah.
And so you gotta shoot them shots. Like somebody gonna give you a yes for multiple reasons. They're gonna feel bad for you. They're gonna be like, oh, I'm actually interested in you. And then when you do get those no's, like reflect, like, could I have done this better? Could I have said this better? You know, like figure out what went wrong, where's your weakness, and get stronger. So the next time you go back out there to shoot your shot, maybe you won't get it. But shoot all shots. And
always shoot a shot.
Shoot your shot.
That's
Don't even.
great advice.
I think all 20. I think that was my thing. 2020. It was either 2020 or 2019. It was I'm shooting all shots. Like if something comes to me and it's the weather, it's either me going like this or being like, nah. I'm doing this every time. I'm going for it because eventually I gotta make a few points. So yeah, shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot. You gotta write that down. All right, Ted. What you got?
How am I gonna try to follow Chantel? Like she said so much stuff in this show. All I can say is you can do it, right? Like I know one person that has their product on the shelves, a Target. I know one person. So every day I go into a store, a Target, any place, and it's like, man, how do these people create these products and get them on the shelves? I know one person that has done it. And we don't really think about how much it takes to do that. Like each product that's on the shelf, someone had a vision, someone had an idea, however it came to them. We don't know. We just grab it. We grab the toothpaste, we grab the mouthwash, whatever. We have no idea what went into it. But there's one product in there that I know what went into it. I know the person, and that just means a whole lot to me. Out of all the products, and there's only one product in there that there's a personal connection to. And that person, I'm so proud of, and just wish continued success.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Awesome. So for me, the final thing to write down, it has to do with, like, I try to be in a position where I don't want to look back with regrets. Right? I always picture myself as like an 80-year-old, and I'm sitting around with my grandkids, and when I'm looking back, I don't want to ever have to regret. And I think about it like, the only thing you're really going to regret is not shooting the shot, right? You're not going to regret shooting and failing. You're not going to say, oh man, yeah, I went up and it didn't work. No, you're going to regret, you're going to ask yourself, well, what if I had tried? I felt like that was what I was supposed to do, but no, I was too scared. And to me, regret is the biggest pain that you can have. And I don't want to look back with regret. So it's kind of on the lines of the shoot the shot, always shoot the shot, but remember you'll regret the shot that you don't shoot. Write that down.
Well, you will definitely miss it if you don't shoot.
Yeah,
there's a
100% chance you gonna.
Yeah, it's 100% chance you gonna miss it if you don't shoot.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think about these. I look at these great basketball players. They could be having like a 0 for 10 game, but when the game's on the line, they're gonna shoot.
What player was that, Ted? And I know you watch ESPN all day. I think it was Russell Westbrook. But anyway, somebody was interviewing him, and I guess he's had a bad season. So y'all, I don't know nothing about sports, but my husband be watching ESPN, so I be listening sometimes. Anyway, it was an NBA player that had a bad season. That was having a bad season, and the interviewer said, "How do you feel about missing, that shot? Like that was da." And he said, "I done made like 46,000 shots or something crazy."
Right.
Like, I done made shots. One that I missed, or a few that the ones that I missed, I ain't tripping off that. Like, look at all the ones I've made. And that hit me. I was like, that's so true. Like, nobody talks about the shots you ain't making. It's the ones that you make that's work. It's the shot of me going to Target is what y'all talking about. Y'all not talking about when I went to the other store down the street and they told me, no, we're not talking about that.
Right.
We talking about the ones that we made.
That's a great point. Absolutely.
Wow.
That's great.
Well, Chantel, we know that, you've been the first guest that we've had 3 times. So you'll most likely be the first guest that we have 4 times. So you got to promise you're going to come back. We're going to have another conversation and just kind of check in, see how things are going with you, because it's just always great to have you.
Maybe next time we could talk about branding. We can have a branding conversation.
Have a branding conversation. That sounds like a good one.
Yeah. How to fix your flyer.
Right. Yeah, how to fix your flyer.
How
to fix your flyer and pick the right tie and pocket square, like all together in one.
That sounds like something I would be great at.
Absolutely.
Right. Chantel, thank you for everything you shared. How can the people connect with you? Order that deodorant.
Yeah, so at Play Pits on Instagram, Facebook, playpits.com is our website. On TikTok, Play Pits Do is our TikTok. And if you would like to connect with me personally, my Instagram is Mrs. Play Pits, at Mrs. Play Pits. And that would be the best way to connect.
Fantastic. And for everybody, I know we say this all the time, but we really mean it this week. Don't forget to share the show.
Share the show. Look, Ryan Park said, go to Target.
Yes, go to Target. Hey, Lindsay.
Go to Target.
Go to Target and share the show and then go to Target.
That's right.
You got to share with at least 3 people, bare minimum. Share the show. All right. Well, that's our time for this evening. We definitely appreciate you. Don't forget, you can actually go back and listen to these episodes and even these other episodes. We had episode 12, episode 94, where we had Chantel on from before. You can go on Apple Podcasts, you can go on Spotify, and all those other places. Until next time, have a great one.